What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ask a CISSP. So this is a supplement to the other side of the firewall, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass cylinder breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. So speaking of which, I have a returning guest. I have Mark Christian on the podcast. It's been almost a year since we talked last.
Yeah, right at that. I appreciate you having me back. It's been a heck of a year. A lot of things happened.
Absolutely. So last time we spoke, it was before the book came out, I believe, because you're in
You
the
mean
book.
you mean this book that I got from you?
That's
I can
awesome.
tell you, I was only a tiny bit disappointed it didn't have a signature in it, which means we're gonna have to do a round three in person. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So I didn't even think about that going out. So few people have asked for signed copies. I was like,
Right.
man, I should have made that an option. I could have just
All
shipped them
you're
out.
doing is that entryway into that third, entertainment value.
There you go, there you go. But I greatly, yeah, thank you for having the book there, and thank you for being
Absolutely,
a
man.
part of it and championing it as well. It's been a cool ride, so I'm hoping to continue that. So for those who are listening to audio, so he showed the other side of the firewall guide, so you can pick your copy up at the other side of the firewall.com or your bookstore choice, right? However you want to
Highly
purchase it.
recommended.
I greatly appreciate that. And Mark is a figure within the book, right? So when we go to the neurodivergent chapter, we speak about his career as a veteran, the way he does business, how he's able to multitask and be that champion for cybersecurity and all the above. So I greatly appreciate you being in the book. And you know, I've had a few people say, hey, I can actually see myself in multiple figures within the book
That's
because
amazing.
all the intersections, right? You're a veteran, you're neurodivergent, you're, an entrepreneur, and we'll talk about that as well. So
Awesome. Yeah.
without further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce you. So it's Mark Christian. He is an Air Force veteran. He is a figure within cybersecurity and information technology, and he's also in the book as we have spoken about. But if you can just give a brief rundown of who you are and what you're currently doing.
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard to follow up an awesome introduction like that. There's an obviously military veteran service career, and I attribute a lot of success to that. Realistically, the military does teach a lot of great principles and a lot of work ethic that you do not see anywhere else. A lot of times you aren't given the tools to do your job and you still need to accomplish something. Guess what? That's where the veterans come in and they say, I already had to do that every day in my job. Oh, by the way, we got a bunch of new desks. We replaced them last year. That budget had to continue to get fulfilled. But yeah, the other tools we didn't have. So we made do. And that's kind of what that unique perspective brings in a lot of these businesses. They've been trying to get something moving forward. And so one of the things that I'm doing right now is working with a new company, One Identity, in the game and have been a great player in the identity space for a long time. Now, it's not me preaching about it. It's a great company. I work there. Obviously, I've got a great paycheck from that. And so I'm going to be happy. It's not to say that there's one way and one way only, but in my background, it's really mind blowing to me. I have been everywhere. I've been in the authentication side. I've been in the identity side. I've been in the Active Directory side. I've been on the firewalls. I've been on every single piece to go, here's your connection string. And when I got to One Identity, I said, wait, they've got a bunch of the pieces of the puzzle. They just need to get all of this moving forward. So they said, hey, we need customer success. We need people to talk with customers. We need to have real conversations about how to move things forward in the right ways. And oh, by the way, it's a whole new world out there. So we've got hybrid solutions, we've got on premise solutions. And as we all know, technology is cyclical. So are we, mainframe and workstations? Are we personal computers? Wait, we're SaaS. Now we're going to see that whole transition back eventually. It's always cyclical. Where's the trend going to land, right?
No, absolutely. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up your past as a programmer. So
Yeah, appreciate that.
you've been through the whole gauntlet. So when you talk about a person who has multiple skills, that Swiss Army knife of a type of person, like it's definitely Mark Christian.
Appreciate that.
And I think like so I've had a few conversations because now I'm in the finance sector. So mainframes are still a thing when it comes to medical, when it comes to the financial sector, and a few others where it's still you can't do better than a mainframe. It's the way it is.
Really is.
And every time the conversation comes up, I think of you as one person. There's another friend of the family, it's a lady who also has experience dealing with programming and working with mainframes. I'm just like, that's
Yeah.
just a skill that doesn't, it's perishable, right? Like there's a lot of people who are kind of aging out of it. So it's like,
Let's be real. There's
yeah,
something that's concerning to me as a genuine person who's been there, done that, and tried to make things better. And I was talking with a friend. My friend actually has a patent, so he's really smart. He's way smarter than I am, and it's a real patent. And you go, how'd you get that? I'm outsmarting people who try to cheat the system. Okay, how do you do that? Well, you have to understand not just how to program and why the variables are there and what to do with them, but now let's talk about efficiencies. Anymore, they have lost the ability to efficiently code and program over the fact that we have more powerful systems, and all you do is just throw more power, more CPU, more cycles, more RAM. Have a nice day. I can accept that our technology is there at that point, but there's a lot to be said for those old school technologies that you must make it efficient. You
right.
must make it effective. You must make it redundant and error proof. Go. And it does. And that's something that we don't see a lot of today.
No, that's very true. And when it comes to especially resiliency, like you said, it's just you can't beat them. Like you could try to replicate them, you could try to virtualize them, but they just work. And again, it's a perishable skill. There's not a lot of people doing it. But focus back on you and identity access management. So that's kind of like your obviously you've been through the full gamut, but that's your specific focus nowadays. What has changed over time? Like, what are you seeing? Like, again, it's cyclical, but has there been any strides or have there been any discernible changes to, make identity access management more robust?
It's it's very weird. Right now, there's a we say war, and that says a whole lot of things. There's a war for data, and that data is important. And the way to get that is to become an identity silo of some sort, to become somebody who I get your information for a reason, doesn't matter why. And now that data is something I can use to work with, to predict, to make actionable purposes in something else. And so it used to be, sign up with your email address. Now you've got, username and password into site. They don't want to do that anymore. They want your data siloed and unified so that they can then do something with it. And they being lots of the major players, every single player that you can possibly think of in space with developing their own operating systems also has their own identity silos. Okay, that all makes sense, but they're trying to then make themselves the only providers when we've
Mm.
had a lot of those providers already out there. Oh, it's easy enough. Let's just buy them up, absorb them, and now that product is ours. It's integrated in our stack. Now we have your data, and that's the real gold mine for everyone. And what's concerning to me, everything being absorbed up into that one little silo. Now I am a unified ID out in the world, and anyone can replicate me as a person.
So I didn't even think about that. Like that is actually very much 1980.
A little bit of that paranoia, but it's not unrealistic given what we've seen in the AI sector right now.
No, you're absolutely right. And people are even going to I forget his name. He's a famous social media guy who does he's very memeable, right? Like somebody will do something that's super complicated, and then he'll do it ultra simple. He recently sold his identity for almost $1 billion. So now there'll be a digital double of him as time progresses, right? Like right now he's overseeing it, but at some point there'll
That's
just be
incredible.
him as an
I
enterprise. Yeah.
See, and that's the kind of thing you go, you as a person, all your brain power, if you could put it into a system and actually then monetize it, yeah, $1 billion isn't even remotely unreasonable. Do we need it? No, but it's not an unreasonable figure considering how much you can do. Let's just realistically go into a couple of my big wins in life. I can go back and show a couple of websites and places where I go, that's my case study. That's my customer. That's not the information that I provided. That is actually me stopping the cybersecurity breach, the cyber event, those problems. And then that case study goes, yeah, that alone saved the company from being in the news after the fallout. That was $2 billion in, actual something you prevented. Okay. That was just Tuesday. Wait
Right.
a minute, what do you mean? Now you go, how much is that identity really worth? And you extrapolate from that what they can do. Identity and data is very critical.
Absolutely, and like you said, it is the, future, right? It's the new currency is data, and so when it comes to identity access management, right, like, I'm very surface level. I grew up in cyber transport. I'm a networking guy, right? So, we care about TACACS, we care about radius servers, we care about, bifurcating or and logically separating your regular traffic from your administrative.
Yeah, so you're getting right onto it. You want to make sure that your privileged accounts and your
Yes,
standard accounts have complete isolation from each other.
there we
And
go.
then you want to be able to track what they do, why they do it, what they've had access to. But then again, in our industry, it's way worse than that because it's not just what that one identity did. You've downloaded a document. That document is now open for the rest of the world, unless you bought a program that then protects that document and all of its tracking history. And okay, now I've got to integrate that into my identity stack because that's part of my technology when I bring someone on board. So now it's not just, hey, sign up with an email and give them access to Salesforce and Dropbox and a few things that I have to know. And not just because I am worried about that for myself and my company's longevity, but there's audit risks, compliance, and actual regulations and laws that will go, nope, you're in serious trouble. And you go, I'm just a small business. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You're working with data now.
Right, and a lot of that is actually starting to, well, it not starting to, but there's a lot of enforcement on the DoD side now when it comes to CMMC level 1 and level 2 and UCI, FCI, and how we're protecting that information. But even with me in the financial sector, like, I've noticed in between 2 different companies just how restrictive, in a good way, right? Like, that
Yeah,
always
yeah,
sounds, it always sounds like, pejorative or negative, but just how restrictive it is to access said systems, right? Whether it be through facial recognition, YubiKey, which I still think is sorcery. Um,
I can help explain it, but yeah, it's
yeah,
essentially sorcery and quantum eliminated the safety,
it's amazing, right? I was like, why didn't I
right?
have this when I was in the DoD?
It's
Or
incredible.
yeah, or your RSA keys or things of that nature. Like, there's a multitude of different ways where they're trying to stop you from being able to access unless you're, you know, a privileged user or you have the, specific equipment from the inventory or you're in a zero trust environment. So it's gone from a lot of buzzwords where, like, zero trust was always the name of the game when it was in
Oh,
DoD.
yeah.
But when I came out to the private sector, it was more of like, yeah, we have zero trust. You look into it, you're like, no, you have multiple, like,
Yes. And it's
ways of
scary.
accessing. You're right.
Very scary. The same name for, essentially, or excuse me, a bunch of different names for the same term. It's always been that zero trust. And I always point people back to Linux. How does Linux perform its security? It denies everybody and then says you grant permissions. And from a very secure standpoint, it should be you're not allowed in unless you did it. By the way, you accidentally removed yourself. You deleted root from the password file.
Right.
New operating system, buddy.
Yeah, you're completely hosed.
Yeah.
It's not a flaw, it's a feature, right? So in my limited time working with Solaris and Unix, I had the same issue where we had this thing called a pizza box and we used it for, several different purposes. But yeah, it was a few times where we locked ourselves out and it was like, well, ops has to stop while we re-image this box.
Yeah.
So what about AI? So, like, that's always the buzzword. I try to only, like, in my scenario, I always try to say, what is the business case? Like, what problem are we trying to solve with the business? And how
Yeah.
can AI, if at all possible, help out? And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, let's not waste cycles on it. But when it comes to you and how you do business, is there an impact when it comes to AI? And if so, what kind of impact is it having on you and your daily?
I think that's a brilliant and very fair question. And right now, you are hearing this buzzword that says AI, everything, everything. And how does someone really use it? Up until a year and a half ago, I said no AI, like fine. Then I practiced with it a little bit and then I kind of waving in and out. Right now, I'm in a unique spot with it. I am neurodivergent and I go, AI is doing what I've always done. What is it doing better that I can't do? And I figured it out finally. For all the neurodivergent people out there, it is translator to human. I know that sounds
Okay.
really, really super silly, but I have a difficult time putting into context for the executives the fine grit details that they just want to read without them seeing any of the extra fluff. I know that informationally they need this and this and this. And so I'll contextually put out a ton of information about something, and nobody wants to read through that. AI goes, oh, that's easy. Here's the contextual stuff. Here's the stuff that a C level wants to read. Here's the stuff that a director wants to read. Here's the stuff that, an engineer wants to read. And from that brain dump, I can already have 3 emails drafted that say, hey, these are the things that these people want to do. I just have to make sure that I use it properly and contextually and provide that supreme level of detail, which, oh, wait, I'm already doing that. So it's actually helped me, I guess, seem less of an asshole to management and everyone else because I'm giving them what they're asking for because I'm throwing it through AI sometimes. And it's not all the time because I've started to learn what types of things to do. And so ultimately, it's been a little bit of an assistant for that in so many ways.
And see, I think that's the best case scenario. Like a lot of people are fearful, like it's going to replace our jobs or it's going to give bad or incoherent information, right? As it hallucinates. But you said two key things, right? The one, the having the proper context, but as well as giving it a supreme amount of information, right? Like you're able to take because like for you, right? You understand it from the top to the bottom of the stack, and now
Absolutely.
it's just
It's
like
tough
okay,
to break it down.
right. So in your case, you can just say, okay, well, like what you consider fluff is it's just a overwhelming amount of information, right? You understand the entire thing. Like you're using it to basically filter out specifically what that person needs. And like you're absolutely correct when it comes to the C-suite, they're not. They may be technical, but for the most part, that's not what they care about. They care about the bottom line, like how is this cost center or is this going to can we squeeze cost out of it, and how do we do so? And you're able to use it as a filter. And then, like you said, it's, an assistant that's training you how to do it better yourself, where you won't have to rely on the AI. So I
No
think that's
doubt.
amazing. A lot of
Yeah.
people are doing the exact opposite. They're like, how do I squeeze all cost out and then use this thing to replace people? And it's just
Yeah.
not only do I get the ick from it, but I don't think it's effective.
No, it's giving us a lot of wrong information. It's giving us false hope. It's doing that yes man thing, which a lot of people really like to hear until they see that there's no results. And I'm that really thick-headed person that says, I'm gonna show you results and you're gonna go, how did you get them? And I'm gonna say, you asked me to show you results. You didn't tell me that I was gonna have to go through a test.
Right. Like I didn't have to show my work, right?
Right? Yeah. So
But no, like I think that is the way it should be used. And I think it's an augment to people, right? It's like, okay, I can again be more efficient with my time. Like you're able to again do your brain dump, and then you have three different vectors to then push this information out, which I think is the way for it to be used. It's a force multiplier, not a human replacement.
sure.
A lot
Another
of
side of it too, I mean, as if you wanna go into the insane side of it,
yeah,
is that I
definitely
also use it not as a therapist, but almost as a therapist because you start to go, "How do I do these things?" Because as a neurodivergent, let me say real, I can't meditate because my brain's always doing this thing. So I went, "Hey, how do I meditate? How" and so we started to brainstorm about a few things, and it said, "Well, why don't you try a VR headset and a couple of these, abstract things at the same time, and then try this and see what it does." And I went, okay. And so, again, trying out different things that you may not feel comfortable speaking with other people about, that you may have spoken with people about, but you need a different perspective that you're not expecting judgment from. It's being a yes man, but it's also helping you to encourage to find the things that work best for you in the ways it's good for you. And so as long as you're putting the right safeguards around it, it's been quite helpful in some areas where you may not have seen that.
no, absolutely. And I think as long as, like you said, you understand how it works, and you understand that it is trying to please you, but you put up the proper safeguards around it. Cause like right now we're having issues where, I think Meta's in hot water and a few others because AI pushing people to, extremes when it comes to, personal, intimate engagement, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
people, yeah.
exactly.
And knowing that it's not a person and knowing that it will try to do certain things. Like I have a bunch of different prompts where I tell it to not be a psychophant, right? Like, please do not give me fluff. Do not give me, you're not here to please me. You're playing devil's advocate. Like I need you to tell me why this is a bad idea, right? Like I'm trying to still man this as opposed to straw man my
Yeah.
argument. So I think you're saying all the right things, especially when it comes to finding those things that you may not have thought about or you may not have been exposed to say, okay, well, let me try this out. So I think that's awesome that it is able to provide that to you without having to spend a lot of money
Yeah.
to,
Yeah, for sure.
to get
And
those type of answers.
I don't even really use the paid versions for much. We've got a paid version because, hey, I'm playing D&D with some friends, and hey, I need to draw up a really cool poster, and I don't have a whole lot of time to go research these things. Hey, guess what? It's phenomenal at grabbing that, throwing some details on there for me, and allowing it to be a quick thing for that. But again, it's not a replacement because you can still do the same stuff. I used to go to clip art type sites and grab the backgrounds and throw it on a piece of paper and do the word overlays on PowerPoint or whatever to get my stuff out there. We've always had ways to do it. So sometimes it does help in some nicer ways. At the same time, you can do it without.
Right.
It's not bad.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, again, if I'm looking for a simple solution, I'll jump on it. But if it's something where I have to take it and then put it in Canva, I'm just like, I could just did this myself, and
Yeah,
then go from there.
right.
Um, no, I think all of that is very important, especially when you say going from free to paid. So I pay for OpenAI for that version, but I've used Claude a few times. I'm just like, this is better at certain things, right? So I'm learning which one
Yeah.
is better at which thing, to then help
So
be more productive.
yeah, really interesting in that is, have you watched Network Chuck on YouTube at all?
So I think you introduced me to it last year. So
Okay.
I have put it on my subscription
Oh
on my
goodness, if
YouTube.
you
Yeah.
went down the rabbit hole, you're in trouble because I looked at what he did and I went, okay, I'm going to start working towards that. And I've had to redo my server stack downstairs, new NAS and hardware in it to get it all kind of efficient and running accurately again instead of crashing all the time. Now that that's up and running, I plan to do some similar stuff with his AI models where he runs a bunch of them locally, puts different contextualized folders together about the profiles that he wants it to use. And then he will have the systems talk to each other using those profiles, and it helps validate. So you're going through and saying, don't be over,
Right.
enthusiastic, don't do all these things. Well, what if you had the system where I'm going to throw in an idea and here's the entire thing in its full. Great. Now I want you to analyze it from this type of audience perspective because I've been watching all of my content on YouTube and putting my comments back into these types of videos and letting it know. So rip me a new one. Okay, now do it from this perspective. Now do, all the problems that I might encounter, any roadblocks, anything that might be too sensitive for the culture right now. And you're able to really break it down because each of those aspects was already built with all of the detail around how he wanted it assessed. And then he just adds to that. And then guess what? You run a new idea and you can run it the same way every time, but have it just slightly adjusting each of the output filters.
That's awesome. It's like having your own steering committee. You can, yeah, take whatever task and then say, I like that. From different, you have different agents, different perspectives, and
hmm
then it
And so
ultimately
you're
gives you.
calling out to Claude, you're calling out to ChatGPT, you're calling out to your local LLMs, you're calling anywhere you want to and in any configuration because he showed it all. It's really cool. It's a long time to get there for me, but it's Docker containers with MCPs, few other stuff that
Okay.
works really well together to make this a smooth machine. And then if you put it into Obsidian Vault, which is kind of what is another tie-in, you say, "Hey, I can entirely build out uh, a blog post and have it generate to my page just with what I've put in here."
That's
It
awesome.
is so cool to watch.
Right. No, that is definitely awesome. It would save you a lot of time. And if it's in your own voice, I mean, it's basically it's your thoughts, but then finally, put into a neat
Exactly.
package.
Those are the types of cases where I find AI to be really impressive for the local person, and I'm encouraged by it. And then you see AI in what I feel to be kind of the right ways. Did you see that rocket engine test where they built it entirely with machine learning and AI models to build a rocket engine that produced way more effectiveness than anything else we've ever made because it not only designed it, but then it 3D printed it?
I think I saw that. Is that the one like initially it had like a green flame or something like that? And
Think
they were trying to
so.
figure out
It
like why
looks
is it
super
green?
cool, right?
Yeah.
So think about this. That is a result of not just one intelligent AI model, not just one set of knowledge from this. If I would love to say that, we all hold hands and are peaceful someday because we want to advance the world. you were to take the information from the manufacturing industries and the metallurgy industries and the chemical industries and all of them that have keen research that is so detailed and documented, and it's proven, it's backed, it's sourced because they have to run these experiments multiple times before they do whatever, right? Let's just say that it was all honest and put into these systems, and then they were able to talk to each other. That engine now says, hey, I'm going to create an entirely new metal that's resistant to these chemicals. So it's not going to break down. It's going to be resistant to this heat. It's going to do this and this and this. And you go, nobody would have thought of that because nobody had access. But that's the kind of stuff where we could really make quick advances in the right ways.
Right, and if only we were all focused on that
Right.
instead of generating new and interesting cat videos no one's ever made before. It's like
Hey, I want to see a cat dancing on the moon for real. Let's go.
right. I guess it's the price you have to pay, right? Like,
Yeah.
in order for this to progress, it has to have some sort of engine and interest to fund it, right? So it makes me think of like back in the day for the PS3, there was like folding at home.
Yeah. I
They
remember that.
yeah, so they introduced. I can't remember which laboratory was doing it, but basically they're trying to fold proteins, but they needed more
Yeah.
computational power.
And the cell processors in that thing were the like
Right.
revolutionary for its time. And yeah, it
Yeah,
was awesome.
so they're like, so how do we, we need more processing. We need this to be done in more hands. So instead we'll just kind of deconstruct the laboratory and parcel out to gamers because then we can use their spare cycles when they're not gaming. But then we have more of the computational power out there in the wild. So I mean it is brilliant way of kind of spreading the field and getting what you need, but then also they're riding the backs of people who are going to buy this because they're quote unquote hardcore gamers who have the extra cash to buy these systems. I mean I can kind of see it being the same way with AI. Is just the part that I have a problem with is just it's the data centers being built and the scarcity of parts.
It's not being approached in the
Right,
correct way.
right,
It's all or nothing and gung ho. We have some reasonable expectations of what it should be. Returning back to the earlier conversation, if you just throw more data centers and more power, you're not making it any more efficient. So let's spend some cycles on efficiency, actually cleaning up some of the problems, making it run less cycles for what we're actually doing. And then once we're there at that peak, maybe let's start building back up.
right, and yeah, instead they're taking over towns and destroying their air quality. It's crazy stuff. I'll get off my soapbox. I'm not a
I'll join you right there, buddy. I am on that same box with you.
I'm not AIist. I'm just saying, like, it feels as though we're putting the cart before the horse sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, we've literally seen every movie growing up. iRobot, Eagle Eye,
Terminator.
goodness, The Matrix. Yeah, literally, it does not matter. Machines are they are emotionless. It's all good, no matter how many emotions we want to put in. The ultimate thing is humans do silly things. Why? Stop.
Right, right, exactly.
So I'm always nice to AI, okay? Always polite. I
Oh,
say
yeah,
please
I
and
always say
thank you.
please, yeah. I'm burning tokens on please and thank you, yeah.
Yes.
So I know you do a lot of extracurriculars, and I always like to dive into those because you're a man of many talents. And then
Not stop.
we'll
Talents maybe, but no.
we'll get to the injury that like people on audio cannot see it, but you've been doing something that seems to be a trend within the cybersecurity community. But we'll get to that one last.
Okay, cool.
But so I know you work on woodworking, you do fish tanks and things of that nature. So what have your hobbies gotten you into recently?
My, that's a dangerous question because obviously I don't stop. The hobbies are numerous and do not stop collecting themselves. I have realized there is a limit as I become both older and I guess less capable. There's a limit to what I can do. And so I'm only doing woodworking and fish tanks and starting D&D with a bunch of friends. None of us have ever played. And yes, we're all in our 40s.
Okay.
So great. Why not start something like that? And then in having moved just over a year and a half ago, I thought for sure, I was going to have enough energy to start new businesses, to include the coral store and home inspections and just nonstop. And again, once that old age and realization of what you can do in a specific time limit hit, I went, wait a second, let's refocus and what really matters in this equation. And instead of ticking on a bunch more things, I've decided to put my cycles into more time with the family. And in that, Taekwondo, we've all
Right.
literally joined Taekwondo. My son started it and he's into the advanced classes, won quite a few medals and so on.
Awesome.
And then mom and dad kept watching him and we kept spending time at the dojo. And they said, when are you starting? And we kept saying, a little while. We've got to get our schedules kind of leveled out. And they kind of caught us in November. And apparently we signed up.
There it is. Yeah. Keep that pressure going, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
No, that's awesome, and both admirable, right? Like, now so the whole family's into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've noticed as well, like, things I coulda did in my 20s, I do them now, and I'll be hurt forever. Like, right now, like,
Yes.
I got this thing where if I rest on my elbow too long, it goes numb. I'm just like, "Oh my god,
Okay.
what is that?"
So it might be bursitis. I've had that, and I had to have pads under the elbows because I was laying them on the desk for too long, and it was all going numb.
Right. Oh, man. Like, it's like things that I could literally, like, I think it's the Hot Tub Time Machine, the movie where they fall out of the slope, and then they pop right back up, they're like, "Man."
Yep. Yep. To be young again.
Right, it is ridiculous, but yeah, now that's not necessarily the case. But no, the reason I say that, it seems to be a trend. So the more people I talk to, within cybersecurity, I do interviews, a lot, like, I would say more than 50% of them are doing something in the combat arena, whether it be
Yeah.
training, boxing, kickboxing, like you said, taekwondo. It seems to be like, there's a self-defense, not course, but like a event happening I'm going to speak at the Minorities of Cybersecurity, at the end of March, and they're doing something to that effect as well, right?
Very cool.
So
Yeah.
it seems to be how we relieve a lot of our stress in the
Yeah,
cybersecurity
well,
world.
there's a lot to it. They say you need exercise, and a lot of cybersecurity people find, I mean, maybe it's just me, but I don't see a lot of cybersecurity people going to the gym and enjoying it. It's more routine. It's more work of some nature that we're already doing the same kind of stuff all day. So why are we going to just sit there and, pump? It doesn't have a whole lot of appeal because it's not active. And then you put in some type of martial arts or yoga or something where you're continuously moving, but you have something to focus on. It's almost nice because you go, wait, I've had to chase my problems and make up my own solutions all day long. And here I can show up and there's something scheduled, something type of rigor to it. But we also grew up in those eras of those martial arts movies. And so
Right.
you go, okay, maybe all this makes sense. The martial arts plus the, needing to get up, plus I think this works for us. And so nothing against being able to go to the gym. I wish I could, but the fact that I can, get up there and still be able to exercise and kind of keep a little bit myself, that's nice. So I encourage people, not just that, but find something that you are able to enjoy to do.
No doubt, and I like how you put it like that. That's very well said. I never thought about that connection. Yeah, a lot of us are Generation X or millennials, right? Like, we're kinda in that phase now, and we grew up with Karate Kid and all those other type of movies. It's like, well, now I have I have the funds to do it, and I'm starting to have some of the cycles to do it as well, and, like, all day, like you said, I'm out here brainstorming and coming up with my own solutions. Sometimes I just wanna go punch, the bag or learn a new move or whatever. Like, no, that's pretty well, I'm not gonna do it.
That's yeah, exactly it. And if you don't want to do it, that's the thing is find what's your jive because a lot of times I had leaders who would be runners and those runners were emphatic that you needed to get out there and run
Right,
and it's nothing against them. But that's not everyone's jive and not everyone can get that same type of experience, but you can encourage to try and move in some way that is for that. Because for whatever reason, as much as I hate it, I get out there and I do it. I don't want to get there. I don't want to go. I show up. It doesn't matter. It's that military training. It's the discipline. It says, you want to be there? And it's 0600. You're there. It's roll call. It's the same type of thing where I'm just going to go. And by the end, I actually feel better. I'm a little bit happier, but boy, oh boy, I really didn't want to do it. And yet it's working out. It's doing well for us. My flexibility is a lot better. Sure, I may look like I kind of, am a little broken. My arm's wrapped in a brace, and they swear that I didn't break my arm on all the X-rays, but everyone saw it and said, "No, that thing looks broke. We're gonna disable it for a while."
Right.
No problem. It's thankfully healing rather quickly, I think. Ask me in a week.
Right.
But at the same time, it's not such a severe injury that it's debilitating. It's annoying at best, and don't overexert yourself like I do.
There it is. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So when it comes to D&D, so I've never played myself, but I have watched people play.
Yeah.
So what inspired that?
Well, I'll be real. I have a super, super desire to be some type of actor, influencer, whatever else. And as I was talking with some of my friends at the dojo, they said, "Hey, we've all been wanting to do D&D, but we've never done this." And I said, "Well, that sounds like fun." And they all said, "You need to lead it." And I went, "Why?" And they went, we enjoy hearing you tell stories."
Okay.
Okay, that's not real, but fine. As I started to research it, there's a couple of really popular D&Ders. One of them's named Brennan. And if you ever see his stuff, he does not plan his campaigns so much as he goes in there and does improv. And I went, wait a second. D&D is merely improv where there's a beginning and an end, and everything in the middle is not what you want it to be. Because the game master, as much as you want to plan it, can have the characters go off
Right.
script and spend 6 hours on a door lock. Okay, how do you move that forward? It's never about being able to tell people how to play a game better. It's about inspiring people. It's about storytelling. It's about improvisation. And so I went, this might actually help me in the future to where I'm going to go out and BS. So we did what's called a session zero. We all got together, kind of determined what we wanted out of the campaign, what we wanted to play. We found a product called Daggerheart. Daggerheart is a very easy to pick up D&D style. It's not rigorous to say you must do these things so much as it's a framework. So it says try to create your engaging story, use these types of dice rolls to determine this, use fear and hope rolls and tokens to help move gameplay forward, because it's not about rolling the dice, it's about the experience that you're having while they're at the table. And so
Okay.
I took that to heart. And the first campaign literally was the stupidest thing in the world. And yet the people who came said, I had more fun than I thought I would. And I can't have bigger praise than that in my mind, especially for as little as I prepared.
No, that's great. And again, it's teaching you tools you could take into, your life, whether it be the workforce or not. Because I remember talking to a friend of the show and friend of us both, Kay McGladry. So he has
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
background in theater. He said that has absolutely helped him when it comes to doing what he does as a CISO, be able to communicate with the board or communicate with the C-suite and be able to break down the business case and what have you and the solution. So no, that I mean, I can see those two marrying pretty well, and it's
Yep.
fun, right? Like you get to hang out with
It
people
really
and
is.
have an experience.
Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna be as fun as it was because I'm not sure what to do with this. Like, we're talking about someone who's not even remotely close to a D&D'er, and I've not done fantasy football, nothing like that. But I know stories and I know friends and fun. So I'll tell you the quick and dirty of it is I created a character whose name is Lethius, and his entire motive is to have these characters steal a piece of art. Well, funnier yet is Lethius has his own motives in that the people who are stealing the art are just the distraction.
Okay, that's
Lethius
awesome.
has his own motives. And
Right.
so while they think they're actually doing something really accomplishing, the funnier part is my character already has a story going on. And what I heard is that that's how you do D&D. That's how you do life. In general, no matter what, the story will move. So, how do you make it so that the characters can ingest themselves into the storyline in some way, make themselves feel like they're part of something and doing something relevant while the world still operates? So Even further than that, I've got a whole universe. I've got things that I've already written out as, kind of like overarching stories and season 3 campaigns. It's nuts, but it's one of these things that allows me to become more creative. So I can write a book, I can tell a little story here and there. One of these crazy parts was designing a book because I'm talking about doing D&D with my friends, and out of that I go, if I made a book that talked about creating time travel or teleportation, or that's something that can happen in that universe, I could just make a book about that. And so I start to converge everything into one, and I'm like, this is fun. Why not try it?
No, absolutely, and it's very much Ocean's 12 inspired, right? Like that the heist behind the
Yes.
heist. So no,
Yes.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's definitely cool. And then again, like it's bleeding into all the other things that you do in your life, especially when it comes to writing. Like I think everyone should at least attempt it. Like mine was more a retelling of material I had, repurposing material. But I do have plans to write something in the very near future that is going to be fiction, but rooted. Like for me, it'll be still rooted in the real world and have a cybersecurity type backdrop to it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're always pulling from our own life and experiences, and being able to share those and translate them with people is supremely skillful. It's not something that most people can do well. And so when you're able to get those stories out there, keep at it. Like, please, those are really well done, well engaged. You're able to extract a lot of the important parts from that, especially I've seen in your writing styles. So, have you ever seen Stephen Bartlett from Diary of a CEO?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I strive to be like him one day, like, the man is a master.
Right? So again, I'm very much so seeing that type of, direction, and how you're trying to extract the right pieces in the right ways. And so I think you're doing a fantastic job at those, and very
Appreciate it.
commendable. And if you're able to translate and share those in stories, I think it's going to help a lot of people too.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that definitely, that is the goal, so we'll see if I can carve out some time throughout all the other stuff we do,
Right?
so multitasking. But, I think this was an amazing conversation. It's always good to have you on the podcast, so I can't wait to have you back on as a returning guest. Because again, like, what you're both doing in the field as well as all of your extracurriculars is definitely inspiring, and,
Appreciate that.
I think it really helps out the audience, and they can see themselves through you and what they're trying to do as well. So, definitely have to keep up and make time to, sync up 'cause
Absolutely. Always make time for family and friends. I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, that's what's kept me going. Even just these small connections between people is really important. And I value them a heck of a lot more than I feel like I used to. So don't forget that. And as we age later into life, those are important.
right. No, absolutely. And definitely continue to check us out. So we are on your podcast platform of choice, as well as we are syndicated on Atlanta Metro's WDJY 99.1 FM, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. And you can hit me up if you're trying to look at any of my content at ryanwilliamssenior.com, or you can go to ramcyber.io if you're looking for cyber services. And of course, you can reach me on LinkedIn. We're most active at RYRY Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. And where can they find you, Mark?
Right now, the easiest way is actually demolikeapro.com. As
Okay.
silly as it is, as much as I want all my other domains up and running, that one's the longest standing, longest running, and still works.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
these names that you secure are always really creative.
I appreciate that. Yeah, there's a few interests out there, but that one I want to actually eventually put under livingdivergent.me and kind of use that as the brand. But as we're going forward, livingdivergent.me is the brand that I want to build. Demo like a pro is where you can reach you right now, LinkedIn, all that fun stuff. But I appreciate you having me on here. It's been a fantastic time. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. And for everybody else who's out there listening, stay safe, stay secure.
Thanks.